Hey guys, Callous Fight Night. We've got our defending champ for second or third week in a row. I think it's his third week playing, his second week defending. Astamatitos, you guys all know him, one of the ADV all-time greats and one of the most consistent players ever to do it, against somebody that is very popular in the community. In fact, you guys voted by a 4-to-1 ratio that Super Epic Ampharos, our challenger, was going to defeat Asta here. So yeah, I guess he's the odds-on favorite. He's got a very standard normal Tyranitar on the bottom, and we have a much less standard, much less normal Sceptile on the top for Asta. Not what I was expecting. Let's see what happens. I know that Sceptile learns Brick Break, but at the same time, I believe unless it is choice banded, Brick Break cannot kill the T-Tar here. Now, of course, on the flip side of that, it also learns Leaf Blade, which would do huge damage here should that connect. So SEA is not going to be afraid of it. Asta's going to attempt to sub up. We're going to see that the Sceptile does not have lefties, Pinchberry perhaps, and it's just going to be double hidden power, which is super effective on the Sceptile, and then neutral on meta, so I would think it's just HP Bug, right? I mean, what other hidden power does T-Tar carry that would be applicable there? So looking like some kind of physical, I mean, it could be mixed, but HP Bug is never on mixed sets. And it also makes it so it can't have HP Grass, which is like one of the two biggest draws to mixed. So some kind of physical tar in the leading spot for SEA, Super Epic Ampharos. Asta has just gone for Reflect here, which is an unusual move that you basically don't see on meta. There's a Meteor Mash and Nice Beam. Damage is meh. But the meta does not have lefties, so it all adds up. Sceptile comes back on a failed Protect. That was a good prediction for Asta. Now, granted, he still has to eat some sand damage, but that's okay. He's got the momentum. SEA could go for Protect again and get more sand damage on the Sceptile, but it risks the Substitute coming down immediately that we already know the Sceptile has. At the same time, is Asta going to make that play when he's already getting low? I don't know. I guess the answer is yes, and Skarm is going to come in. It can't be in too much danger here. What's the worst thing that happens? Yeah, there's an Endeavor, which it's not bad. I don't think I like the spike there. I think you're supposed to immediately whirlwind it away because now you run the risk. I mean, that's probably the best case scenario. Sceptile there potentially could have insta-killed the Skarm there. But yeah, we've got a weird team for Asta, or maybe it's just a standard 5 plus, the Sceptile versus what seems to be a pretty standard team for SEA. He does get his Skarm eaten by a Magneton, and now we've got ourselves a 6-5 game. Asta in the lead. However, there are spikes down beneath his team that he probably can't remove unless he's Magdoll, which seems really unlikely since he's got Sceptile. And on the flip side of that, also his Sceptile is quite low, but I don't believe that it did pop its Pitaya Berry. So not only is it low, it's almost useless. It's almost guaranteed fodder at this point. It can come in and live one layer of spikes, and it can live sand for one turn. So in theory, it could get off one final attack, but Sceptile not useful more or less as anything other than fodder at this point. That was a really good turn for Asta. Quite lucky. Got a Thunderbolt, got a Para, got a full Para. Unlucky for SEA for sure. And insult to injury on the sub, it's another Para. Things going from bad to worse for SEA. Not a lot to do. I mean, especially if it's a physical set that I think it is. He almost certainly on that first turn there, turn 11, simply went for Earthquake and would have killed the Magneton, but very unlucky Para, full Para. And when you're already behind and you have an opponent as good as Asta is catching some breaks, it can be very, very difficult to win. So SEA is going to switch it up. T-Tar not working out for him. He's going to go for Celebi and Psychic, respectively, 33%. Here's another one with a crit, so there's some very relevant luck for SEA now. I think that's only fair after the T-Tar sequence. The crit there was huge, and that's going to take out the Salamence without it doing basically anything. So, alright, they've both gotten some hacks this game. Fair enough. All worked out. Now who's going to win? We're still in that same 5-5 situation. A lot of stuff is taking a beating. Last poke Lapras is not what I was expecting for SEA, so he is busting out a little bit of cheese here as well. It looked very standard. He had 5 very, very standard tryhard mons, but then he's got a Lapras. By switching it into the Gyarados like this, he's representing Thunderbolt being the first thing that came to my mind, which is what he has. He also could have Roar or Perish Song, but those things would both lose to a Taunt Gyarados. Thunderbolt was more likely. That's what he had. Thunderbolt is 27% to the non-lefties meta on the way in, but I doubt Lapras has Protect. It could, but I doubt it. So if Asta were to go for Boom here, which is a very strong possibility, SEA is going to have to figure out what he's going to give up. It might just be the T-Tar, in all honesty here, given how low and paralyzed it is. I mean, especially if you think the Lapras has use still, or if that's going to be your answer to the Gyarados or what have you. I mean, if you brought the Lapras, you obviously think it has some kind of purpose. I don't know. I really might go T-Tar. I can't imagine that the T-Tar has all that much purpose left, given what's left on the other side. The Gyarados can hurt it, the Sceptile can kill it, the Meta can kill it. Now, granted, Asta very well may just go Meteor Mash here. It's like as free as it's ever going to be because Lapras with that crappy ice typing actually takes it neutrally as opposed to resisting it. So a Meteor Mash, should Lapras stay in on that, would do a ton. And that is what he goes for. And it's going to be a Retaliatory Hydro Pump. So he loses the meta, but in exchange, the Lapras is really low now. That seems okay. What Asta could do now, if he wants to, is go to the Sceptile and get one last attack out of it before it bites the dust to the sand. I think that's a possibility for him. He also could just go to the Gyra. I mean, I doubt he knows Lapras Calcs off the top of his head, but he could just go to the Gyra here and go for Hidden Power if that does kill Lapras from this HP, which I think it probably would. But he opts for the Sceptile route, so he's going to get something out of it. One final attack before it dies. It's going to be Leaf Blade. Lapras is going to go down, and we're going to end up with Aerodactyl. I don't think I like this switch for SEA because this allows Asta to immediately go to a Pokemon with Protect, which is basically a hard counter to any Choice Band user, but CB Arrow no exception. Now, granted, there is that one set of Aerodactyl that is viable that isn't a Choice Band set. It could be going down to a Pinchberry. We know that the Magneton isn't going to have Protect, right? We know that it's got Substitute, and it's not going to have both. So, I mean, this is obviously tempting him to hit EQ. Is it a double back to Gyra? It is not. It's interesting. Asta is totally willing to lose the Magneton there had SEA simply clicked and gone for the EQ, but kind of a mind game there. I mean, it's so obvious. You dangle it out in front. Is he really going to let this happen? And the answer is yes. Asta, like I said, with the psychological warfare there, and SEA could not pull the trigger. But nevertheless, I mean, SEA is winning right now. He's got himself a 4-3 lead. Granted, Asta hasn't shown his last. Just kidding. Here it is. It's T-Tar, and it's going to sneak in on a recover. Very well might be a DD Tower, which is very dangerous here. He's going to go Hidden Power Grass, though. That's going to whiff on Celebi. He's not punished because full para, but he does not have HP Bug. This is crucial information, but the bad luck with para continues for SEA. Has been plaguing him throughout the game. Finally, he lands Leech Seed, but man, that's a scary Tar now at +2/+2. Of note, though, the Tar does not have leftovers, and HP Grass is going to help him along, so SEA may have gotten himself out of this. Tar will just die to Leech Seed next time, and now SEA is going to fodder off his own Tar. Takes a ton from Rock Slide, but doesn't die, and then Leech Seed gets rid of the biggest threat by far. So now Asta's going to have to win with Gyra. Stranger things have happened, but he's going to go down to Magneton first, not only to try to create a good double switch, but also because he wants to go down to Last Folk Gyra so he can't be phased out. He might not have Taunt. Here comes the Celebi switch. There is a failed substitute. I'm not sure what the point of that was. Misclick, perhaps? Or maybe he's just trying to lose the Magneton. But either way, the sub obviously did nothing there. He does land a Thunderbolt, another para. The Thunderbolt paras have been really consistent for Asta here. They're only 10%, but he's had a couple of them this game. It leaves us in a 2-3, but I mean, really the only thing that matters here is the Gyarados. It's either going to win the game for Asta or it's not. There's the Psychic on Mag. Here we are, full health Gyarados against 3 pokes on the other side. If it has HP Rock, it has a shot to beat the Arrow, but it makes the Celebi that much tougher. First thing he's going to do is sub, and that blocks Leech Seed. That's crucial. So sub, DD, Earthquake, and Hidden Power. The question is, what is the Hidden Power? Is it Rock or is it Flying? If it's Rock, he's going to beat the Arrow, but really have a hard time with the Celebi. If it's Flying, the Arrow is going to be a huge problem, so he kind of needs to catch certain breaks here. Maybe that involves getting a critical hit here on the Celebi. Maybe that's the difference between winning and losing. No, it is HP flying here, so that does beat the Celebi, but how do you beat the arrow now? Unless his last attack is something surprising. Maybe he gets a rock slide miss. SEA is not that bad. He clicks double edge. Why risk the rock slide miss when you can just win without the rock slide? He knows that. He clicks the double edge, and that's going to win him the game. Asta is defeated. The predictions, even though I think a lot of those were just his friends cheering him on, the predictions are actually right, ironically enough. The overwhelming 4-1 majority said SEA would win, and as it turns out, he does. He's going to defeat Asta here, and he's going to be our new champ, and that means he's going to be coming back next week to defend the title against somebody else. The question, as always, is who? So, let's check that out. Yeah, people talking about the prediction. Yeah, see, SEA was obviously the favorite here, as you guys see. All right, getting back to it. This is what we have, 1 through 68. Nice, healthy pool of guys here. See who it's going to be next week against our new champ, SEA. You guys know the deal by now. So, random number generator. So I do a big number like 6,800, then we knock it down to 68. I click generate once, whatever it is. No best of 3 or any of that. We just do it one time. Here is the generate number 66. Who is that? That is Sprinkles. Interesting. Not what I was expecting. Really, truly don't know how much ADV Sprinkles plays. I'm going to speculate not a lot. Probably not the matchup most people were most hyped to see, but Sprinkles is an entertaining guy, and he tryhards in everything, even things like this that don't really mean a whole heck of a lot of anything. So I expect him to bring some heat and take the game seriously. Who knows? Maybe he'll surprise you. But that's going to be the matchup next week. It's going to be our new champ, SEA Super Epic Ampharos against Sprinkles. I will see you guys there. Thumbs up if you like the video, please. Consider subscribing, please, if you've not done so already. And I'll see you next week.